As we head into the off season, we now have time to do some deep analysis on a bunch of different players. Today, we're talking about the toughest players to rank heading into 2026 on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you are watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things, please make sure you're subscribed. And if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would appreciate it if you do that for us as well. And guys, as again, we're heading into the off season, and you're going to want to join Matt and I on the Insider's Track. We're going to be talking about dynasty keepers. I'm working on my 2026 rankings. I have a really, really rough draft so far. If you are interested in something like that, I could give it to you on the Insider's Track, where the link is in the bio, wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And today's episode, we're not doing that, actually. So, all right, guys, let's keep things pushing here. Matt, we were talking about it off air a little bit, and, as we get into the off season, we can really do some analysis here, and you're putting together rankings. We're both putting together rankings a little bit here, and there's just some names that are really, really tough to rank. And we picked out 10 guys, and, they're just going to be really, really intriguing names heading into 2026. We're going to talk about what we're doing with them, what the outlook looks like, and how they finished in 2025. So, Matt, who is up first today?
All right. So, it's fun. We got a bunch of fun names, and you know what? Some of these guys are going to be circumstantial, and some of these guys, I think, are, how do we say, pharmaceutical advanced. And some of these guys are just going to be flat out flops, I think. And we'll get into it. And let's start off with this first guy that's, circumstance. Mr. Byron Buxton, outfielder for the Minnesota Twins. Now, Buxton, we all know he's a really good player. I don't think that's ever been in question of whether Byron Buxton is a talented player that is valuable for fantasy baseball or just for a baseball team in general. The biggest problem with Buxton has been, when is he going to get hurt, right? That has just always been the conversation. And with Byron Buxton, at age 31, he has never played a full season. The last time he's gotten over 130 games was in 2017. He played 140. This year, he got close to 130 games with 126. The guy has never played 162 games or even touched 150. That causes problems. Now, the thing is, when he's healthy, when he's playing, he's one of the best performers out on the field and one of the best guys in your lineup. As you can see from this year, something we haven't seen in a while is him playing this many games, absolutely crushing it with 488 at-bats, 97 runs, 21 doubles, 7 triples, 35 bombs, 83 ribs, 24 stolen bases, batting .264. And I could go into the underlying stats, and I'm going to tell you just a little insider trick. I'm going to save a little time here. It supports the performance. It's never been the question. So for me, it's really just going to come down in 2026 what the price is for Byron Buxton. Is the overreaction going to happen or not? So if the price is right, Buxton's going to get drafted. If the price has gone too far, he's going to be a bust for me. And it's all based off of, what are you going to get on that ROP, return on your pick? And that's just about it. Byron Buxton, stud if he plays and doesn't get hurt, and miserable for your fantasy life when he's hurt.
Yeah, Matt, you hit the nail on the head. Great when healthy, but will he stay healthy? My guess is no, if I have to base it on past performance. Like you said, Matt, hasn't been there for Buxton. The numbers are going to be so tempting when it comes to draft day, though. I know people are going to see, Matt, you talked about the 30-20 season here. Man, Buxton was coming off the board as the 57th outfielder last year. I picked 210. I wouldn't be shocked if you have to take him as like your outfielder number 2. And I can't do it myself. I mean, maybe if my team isn't super risky until that point, you could do it. But, man, it's going to be tough to take a 32-year-old Byron Buxton that high. But, man, great breakdown. So I'm not really going to add too much else here. Let's move on to this next guy. Another player that's a little bit older. It's George Springer. And, man, I'll say this. I definitely did not see this coming from George Springer. I know I ranked him even a little bit lower than consensus this year. But, he took it to another level. Springer played 140 games this year, 498 at-bats, 106 runs, 27 doubles, a triple, 32 home runs, 84 RBIs, 18 steals, and a 309 batting average, which is actually a career high for Springer. At 35 years old, I don't know. I mean, Matt's going to talk a little bit more about some possible reasons for this, so I'm not going to get into that side of it. But I just don't think Springer is going to be the same guy next year. He's going to be a guy. I think again he's going to have to take it as like a high end outfielder number 2. I think people are going to rank him inside of that top 20. I'll probably just rank him there around that range just because you're going to have to do it, but I definitely won't be taking Springer there. Look at the last 4 years. It's been about low 20 home runs, 70 RBIs, 80 runs, and like a 260 batting average. So Springer still, I think, could be somewhat useful next year, but you're going to have to – it's not going to be the ROP you're looking for. You're not going to get the return on pick, because you're going to have to overpay and he's going to underproduce. So Springer going into 2026, I won't be taking him, but definitely, congratulations if we took him this year, if you picked him up, traded for him. Springer definitely had a monster season.
Yeah, so I think Springer's camp and Jerks and Profar's camp kind of got together and said, "Hey, so how'd you do it?" And that's kind of where we're at now. Again, I don't want to get sued, so I'm going to stop it right there and just speak in text. But I'm kidding too. I mean, he had a great season. Ultimately, like all the underlying stats say, "Hey, he did it." Blah blah blah. But I mean, I don't buy these late age breakouts or bounce backs. Essentially, I mean, not everybody's, David Ortiz. Yes, I'm throwing another, whole showing my age here. Where the final couple of seasons, the dude just decided to keep God to return to crushing. So I'm not buying it for George Springer. He's going to be a landmine for somebody else. But let's move on. Let's talk about somebody that actually is fantasy impactful for us. Wyatt Langford of the Texas Rangers outfielder. Wyatt Langford truly again, has disappointed us all. You look at the season's numbers versus expectation, draft price, and you go, man, oh man, this is disappointing. Even though he only played 134 games, still a very underwhelming performance. 73 runs, 25 doubles, a triple, 22 bombs, 62 ribs, 22 stolen bases, batted 241. Now look, 22 stolen bases and 22 home runs. That's actually pretty nice, the 2020 season. But couple that with a 241 batting average, ugly, and then you couple it with the price that you paid for him in the draft, which was top 5 pick, like a top 5 round pick, right? You're pretty pissed. It's not return on pick at all. It's a complete bust at that point. And I'm really disappointed. The team as a whole is really disappointing. Let's put it that way. Even the underlying stats really are, detrimental to, I think, why. Even though the dude walks a lot at 12.9%, he strikes out 26.4%. It's not great. His BABIP is nice. Balls in play are actually, at a pretty good rip, but he's just not doing enough to, get the home runs, even though he barrels and creates hard contact at an average speed. It's just things aren't lining up. I think there's something wrong with his swing, in all honesty. I think he needs to pull the ball more, and I think that he needs to, sell out for power a little bit, especially since, it's not like we're seeing much in the batting average department anyway. And I think that he needs to adjust how he approaches his approaches the bat to the ball at the plate, and we'll see a better performance from him. But while we're seeing that right now, I don't think that he's going to be worth the draft price. Now, if he falls to the sweet spot, I'm going to draft him. But ultimately, Wyatt Langford, even though the underlying stats say there should be some positive regression coming, which it's been screaming for a couple of years, I am 100% not going to pay a top 100 pick for Wyatt Langford in 2026.
Before I jump in and give my take on Wyatt Langford, and we got Eugenio Suarez, who hit a bunch of home runs this year, and then we got pitchers. What are we doing with guys like Ragans and Freddy Peralta? Those names and more coming up next. And all right, guys, there's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually getting the tickets, that's where the tough part comes. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, it takes away from all the fun of it, That's why me, personally, I love to use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by, the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. The app makes it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying it. Fees are included. Know your total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. And, they have zone deals too, which is, something I personally love. You pick the section and Game Time picks the seats and you save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, that promo code is going to be LOCKEDONMLB. For $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go download Game Time today. And all right, guys, I got one more for you. Most people, can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth. Whether it's 401ks, oh my God, I'm struggling today over here. Priorities or investments, and when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data, visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending. And finally, feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. You can identify that you aren't saving as much as you originally thought. Monarch helps you notice an inefficient investment allocation and discover forgotten 401ks from past jobs. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONMLB. And all right, one more quick thing. Guys, join us on the Insiders Track where the link is in our bio, wherever you're listening or watching. We're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff this off season. I've been talking about it a little bit. I've been working on my 2026 rankings. If you're interested in that, you can join us over there. I'll send you out my rough draft so far. It's a little bit sloppy, but you know what? I don't think really anyone else is offering that at the moment. And then we're going to be doing some giveaways. Maybe we'll be talking about some Dynasty Keeper stuff. So join us on the Insiders Track if that sounds like fun to you. But let's keep things pushing. Unfortunately, I got to keep talking here because I got to give my take on Wyatt Langford. Matt, actually, I think we're going in opposite directions here on this one. I do want to talk about this. Langford was dealing with an oblique injury all year. Literally in April, went on the IL with the oblique, missed about 2.5 weeks. Went back on the IL in late June, missed about a week there with the same oblique injury. Oh, actually, it was the right oblique at the beginning of the season, left oblique in June. And then literally at the end of the season, literally here, he went on the IL again with that left oblique. So I think he was fighting through stuff. And to see that Langford still performed as good as he did with the injury lingering all year, once again, 73 runs with 62 RBIs, 22 homers, 22 steals, 241 batting average, and even the walk to strikeout ratio wasn't atrocious with 74 walks to 151 strikeouts. And that was all done in 489 at bats. You'd like to see it. I think if he's healthy, the value is going to be there. I don't think people are going to be valuing him the way he did last year. Matt, you mentioned it. He was going round pick 46, the 16th outfielder. I think we're going to be able to get him closer to maybe like the 25th to 30th outfielder, and that's going to be a nice little sweet spot. So if you're getting Langford, as a low-end outfielder 2, high-end outfielder 3, I think that's going to be amazing. I think he can outperform that very, very well. He was like a consensus top 5-10 prospect, going back a couple years ago. He's only going to be 24 years old this season. I think Langford can bounce back and surprise us. And Matt, you talked about a lot of the underlying stats when it comes to like hard hit rate, barreling the ball, average exit velocity. He was, in the over the 80th percentile. The sprint speed with the oblique issues was in the 88th percentile, so he was killing it there. And I mentioned, he knows how to take a walk, doesn't really chase a lot, does whiff, but not chasing, staying in the zone. I think it's going to work out for Langford. So somebody that if the price is right and everybody isn't hyping him up and he doesn't have a monster spring training, we know Langford loves spring training. So if he has a great spring training, might boost that ADP. But somebody that if we're getting, like I said, I think a low-end OF2, high-end outfielder number 3 is going to be awesome. But let's keep things pushing. Let's talk about this next guy. Let's talk about Eugenio Suarez. Man, monster season, but bad second half. He really didn't finish strong, and a lot of it came when he got traded. Went back over to Seattle. It's a park that suppresses power. So as much as I was all in on Suarez this year, I think I'm going to be fading him next year. He hit 189 over 53 games with Seattle, and it was 13 home runs, where he hit 248 with Arizona and hit 36 home runs in 106 games. Seattle's a great team, so I think the counting stats will be there, and I still think there's a chance that you see like a very similar season to like the 2022 season where Eugenio Suarez played in Seattle, where he hit 30 home runs, 236 batting average, 87 RBIs, something around that could be more feasible than the monster season this year with 49 home runs and 118 RBIs, hitting 228. So Suarez, I think the value is going to be, too high going into next season. I think everyone's going to see the numbers and not realize how bad he was in the second half. Somebody I'm going to be fading, but once again, if you were in on him like I was this year, played out well for you.
So I'm going to say this. There's going to be some massive negative regression coming in next year. There's a lot to support it, and I'm going to summarize really fast. Dude walked only 7%, but struck out in 29.8% of the time. That's a fugly comparison. Under league average in terms of walking and well above average in terms of strikeouts. That's a bad combo right there. It means you're not walking and you're just striking out like crazy. And on top of that, you look at expected batting average, it was a 217. You mix that all together and you're just like, gonna be bad. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like anything about it, even though he makes great contact with the ball. Everything just screams, yo, this is not going to be a good combo. We're going to be screaming when people are paying these draft prices for a guy that hit 288 this season. I'm sorry, wrong guy here. Not 288, 228 this year. And I think there's a even lower floor in terms of the batting average. So just stay away from him wholeheartedly. But let's move on. Let's talk about Bryce Turang, the guy actually accidentally clicked on Ridge's batting average. Bryce Turang had a really good season. Turang had 584 at bats, 97 runs, 28 doubles, 2 triples, 18 home runs, 81 ribs, 24 stolen bases, and batted 288. He had a really good season, like straight up. The price was kind of right on him. Him playing for those Milwaukee Brewers and playing second and short. I love that. He's not a guy I'm going to overpay for. He doesn't really stick out in any real true category. I mean, stolen bases is nice and chipping in 18 home runs. That's all great and dandy. But, I mean, it's a career high in home runs by far. He more than doubled his career high in 2024 at 7 and had the same amount of at-bats and games in him. So I just don't know if we're going to see the repeat of the power. There's not a lot that really just screams that it's repeatable. The guy ground balls 46.3% of the time and barely hits fly balls. That's only 31.5. So right there, that's not a good combination for home runs. Then you look at the barrel percentage, and he only does that at 7.9. That's league average. Yeah, he makes hard contact, but it's mainly hitting the ground, and he's just beating guys out on base. So his OPS and things like that are a lot better. So ultimately, I don't think that we're going to see this 18 home run upside again from him. I wouldn't be surprised if he, cracks 12 this year. So I'm going to have my, hesitations in drafting him outside of the fact that he brings a pretty much a Nico Horner kind of feel to him. And I'm not paying a high price for Nico Horner, so I'm damn sure not doing it for Turang.
And before I jump in and give my take on Bryce Turang, and then we move into the second half of this episode, and we're talking starting pitchers like Cole Ragans, Freddy Peralta, and more coming up next.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for kickoff. A can't-miss offer right now. New customers can bet $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Now, I love using FanDuel. I literally use it all the time. I can't even lie. Lost a huge parlay, 11 leg, and damn you, Franklin. Um, but I love doing these crazy player props, building the same game parlays, or even jumping in on the action as the action unfolds. It makes every game even more exciting, and I truly, truly, truly love the platform. It's the best. It's not just checking my fantasy lineups. It's a quick and easy way, the best way to add a little bit more energy to Sunday. So you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today and use the code or visit FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a little insight into what you probably should do to make that $5 bet count. So the Bengals are playing the Lions, and the Bengals defense is atrocious. Look, anytime touchdown for Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think that's a gold. 2 passing touchdowns for Jared Goff, and I would say a 70-plus yards or over just in general on Jameson Williams receiving yards. Obviously, play the money line for Detroit. Not even the money line. Well, no, play the over on the Detroit line side, and I think you're going to make out with a bandit. It's probably not going to be great odds, but you could probably build in a few things in it. Straight up, Bengals suck this year. Just bet against them wholeheartedly. But all right, Dom, what do you think about Bryce Turang?
Damn, man, I really didn't want to spend too much time on Turang, but we're not in agreement on too much tonight. I think I'm taking the other side on Turang. So I don't know if you heard this. He made some adjustments on his swing going into the second half. And if you look at Turang's numbers in the second half, he played 93 games in the first half, so hit 6 home runs. Played 63 games in the second half and hit 12. So he doubled his home run total in 30 less games. It came in the sacrifice of steals. He had 17 steals in the first half and 7 in the second. That's why he didn't match his 50 he had last year. But I don't know if Turang's going to make like a huge jump in the power. He is 25 years old. I do, love that he's making adjustments, student of the game, trying to figure out how to be a better baseball player. But I think he's going to be fighting for the best second baseman next year. I don't think he'll be drafted that way, so I think there'll be some room to, make some money on a guy like Turang next year. If he's a top 5 second baseman, I still think that's going to work out because I think there's at least 20 home run potential with, obviously, he's stolen 50 bags before. I don't know if he does that again, but if you get a 20 homer, 30 steal, 280, 290 batting average here with good counting stats on that Milwaukee team, I think Turang is somebody that will be worth the, he'll give you the ROP depending on where he's being taken next season. But let's keep things pushing. We'll talk about, let's get some pitchers in here. Let's talk about my boy Cole Ragans, man. Disappointing year, not because of performance so much, more due to injury. Cole Ragans only pitched 61 innings this year. Like I said, missed a lot of the season. But in those 61 innings he did pitch, he had 98 strikeouts, 1.18 whip. The 4.67 ERA, I don't think tells the full story across the 13 starts. But Ragans finished the season strong. His last 2 starts, one came on September 23rd against the Angels, 5 innings, got the win, 10 strikeouts. I had a couple of earned runs in that one, an 0.8 whip though. And then against the Athletics in this last start of the season, it was 4.1 innings, 8 strikeouts, no earned runs, 0.69 whip. I think the injuries for Ragans kind of, is the reason that the numbers are a little bit inflated. But listen, Ragans is still young enough, and can turn this thing around and just be a force for fantasy baseball next year. I don't think he's going to be drafted as an SP1, which is going to be awesome because he has that SP1 upside. In 2024, Ragans 32 starts, 3.14 ERA, 186 innings, 223 strikeouts with a 1.14 WHIP, and he's still only going to be 28 years old. There's a lot of upside here with Cole Ragans. I think if you're getting him as a low-end SP2, high-end SP3, you're going to make a lot of ROP on Cole Ragans in 2026.
I think he's still going to be drafted as probably the 12th pitcher. In all honesty, I don't see a world where
It's possible. It's definitely possible.
I look at it and I go, Ragans just went down to injury. It wasn't like he had a bad season, like that. It's one thing if he absolutely fell on his face, and the first time we're all drafting him that way, it doesn't line up for me. I think he's just where he's going to get the pass. He's been fantastic for 3 years now. So I'm still going to draft him that way, unless I'm starting to hear anything about the shoulder injury, starting to still linger around. And we'll find out soon. But let's move on. Let's talk about Freddy Peralta, of those Milwaukee Brewers, starting pitcher, of course. He had a ridiculous season. First time he's had a sub-3 ERA since 2021, and really just crushed it wholeheartedly. Even had a great whip. So I'll read the whole stat line. 176 innings pitched, 204 strikeouts, 270 ERA with a 1.075 whip. Fantastic season. Look, I'm really impressed. We all know he's a strikeout machine. We usually just don't see the ERA that usually coincides with, an elite pitcher where he finishes at this height of his career. We always know he's had it in him. Like, that's just not something that we ever didn't expect from him. He's just never been a picture of consistency when it comes to ERAs and things like that, because he does have his blow-up games. And also, too, he usually walks guys at a little bit of, an unfortunate rate, just sometimes, not all the time. You look at it, he had a 1.21 ERA whip last year, a 1.11 the year before that, and then he had some goods and then some bads as well. You look at it, and it's just like too much of a mixed bag of tricks with Freddy Peralta. I think where he was going this year is the same spot that I'm going to want to draft him next year. The problem is I think the love is going to go too far and expect that this is going to be the new norm at an age 29 when the expected ERA is still in the mid threes. I think that we're just too honed in as a community staring at the stat sheet and not looking at the underlying stats that either support it or break it. And therefore, when it comes to Peralta, I think, SP, 15 to 13 range is a fair range of when you want to pull that trigger. He's definitely not a top 12 pitcher for me.
Yeah, Matt, spot on. I just want to say I've been calling for this Freddy Peralta year since 2021 when he basically did the similar thing in less innings. But I knew Freddy Peralta had it in him again. But Matt, great call. I don't think he does this again next year. I think it could be a low to mid threes ERA with well over a K per 9, and the whip. He's usually pretty consistent in whip, so like a 1.15 kind of whip. You nailed the range, so I'm not going to add too much here. Except Freddy Peralta was drafted as the 30th SP last year, and it's not going to happen again, unfortunately. Let's keep things moving. We got a couple more names to cover. Let's talk about Nolan McLean, rookie pitcher of the New York Mets, and I kind of wanted to get him in while we still have a lot of you guys here listening, because I didn't really get to talk about him when I wanted to when we talk about rookie of the year players. Or best pickups. I forgot what I had him on, but I had him on one of those things. McLean's going to be tough to rank because I just think he was so unexpectedly good as a rookie last year. 8 starts, 2.06 ERA, 48 innings, 57 strikeouts, 1.04 whip, and a 2.97 FIP. So even some of the underlying stuff really believes in what McLean did. The Mets, we thought it was really going to be Jonah Tong, who was, one of the rising stars, but McLean himself rose pretty high through the prospect ranks throughout the year, and, was really good when he got to the bigs. I really hope, he's not going to be overdrafted going into next year. He, has a great pitch mix. He leads with that nasty sinker, 95 miles an hour. They hit under 200 against it. But, for time purposes, I think McLean is just somebody that if we can get him as like an SP5, I think that's going to be nice, but I don't know if that's where we're going to be able to get him. But at age 24, had a monster season. Definitely believe in the talent.
I agree. For time's sake, I'm not going to go too deep, but I personally view him as like a Spencer Schwallenbach going into next year, where I wouldn't be upset if I had to pay a top 24 SP price for him because I think the talent is there. If not, I prefer top 36. But let's move on. Brandon Woodruff of the Brewers. So he came back after dealing with the shoulder injury and didn't come back till midseason, obviously. But when he came back, he was absolutely a force. Something I love to see. Yes, he had a rough August, but then bounced back in September. Quite honestly, I look at it and I go, he was bound to have a bad month and some bad starts to just get used to it and a little bit of fatigue to work through some things. Dude looks like a stud. Where I'm drafting him in 2026, that's TBD. I have to look and do a little bit more homework, but top 36 pitcher for sure. Probably top 24, that range. But I feel like you're drafting him at a ceiling. Hopefully we don't have to get him at a ceiling.
As long as Woodruff's healthy, I want as many shares as I can get.
Amen.
He does have the lat issue, unfortunately. At the end of the season, he went down with the lat issue, but they're saying it's a very moderate strain that it shouldn't be too big of a deal. I was trying to sneak this last guy in, Drew Rasmussen of the Tampa Bay Rays. The thing with Rasmussen, he's talented. He has great stuff. He knows how to manage a game. He's almost thrown a no-hitter before in his career. I believe he got literally 1 out away from a no-hitter before in the past. Great season, 150 innings, 127 strikeouts, 2.76 ERA, 102 WHIP, 10 wins. He's been really good in the past. I think he's going to be somebody who's underdrafted next season. Don't think he'll be this good, but he's definitely a talented pitcher. Low 3s ERA, good WHIP, under that K per 9 though, with decent amount of wins. Rasmussen's going to be somebody I'll take. Probably SP5. I think is where we'll be able to get him because I think people just overlook him every year, and he's pretty talented.
Well, I'm going to say one thing. Dude just loves to give up hard contact, and that's my biggest issue with him. I look at it like this. I don't think he's going to be worth rostering if you have to pay an actual price on. I'd like him as my SP7 or 8, really. But I'm not paying anything higher than that. You can have him at that point. Enjoy. But guys, thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day, as you should. We are here for you daily, so please like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review on that. And thank you for making us that first listen. For your second listen, I want you to check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get your local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast.